We've started. Okay. Okay. Um, so hi everyone. Sorry for the late post this week. I'll just cut to the chase. So I have thought that the readings the last 2 weeks have been particularly useful in trying to put together a workshop and trying to maybe hone the teaching technique that you'd want to use. Of course, I'm sure it also relates to family relations, but considering that I'm doing the workshop, that's the context in which I was doing it in. And I thought that everything that we've read has been really helpful. So I guess I will just highlight a few of the things that I really enjoyed. So first off, I thought that the component display theory was really interesting to read about. I mean, it was kind of intuitive after you read it, but I thought that it was really good to think about going from like general to specifics, and it's like having the expository bit where you tell or show with a fitting story, and then like asking the participants to share their own stories, and then or like do their own questions about what you're teaching. I just thought that that was a really good setup, and maybe something that, I don't know, it is intuitive, but I just liked being reminded about it. I also thought that it was really useful to be reminded that, like, to have the participants be able to take the principles home, like they really need to practice them and like receive real life application for them. So I just think that, like, oftentimes we think we have these really great ideas, and we have like really, fun ways to share our experiences or share the information that we're trying to get across, but like we don't actually practice it that much. And I know, for instance, like on my mission, we did a ton of role playing, which I feel like was really emphasized in the text. And I always felt super, super awkward about it. And I was always so scared to do it because people were like watching you, and it just always seemed to kind of like go wrong. And, but that's like why we did it, right? It was because like there was an opportunity to have things go wrong in a situation that it didn't matter. And so I thought that that was great to be reminded of, and a good thing to try and implement into our course. I'm doing a course with Kim Marie, and we're doing it on balanced living. And so I don't know, I guess like it would be really good to practice these things, because like we get so caught up in living life from day to day that we often don't like understand or practice the ways that we need to change our lives. Like it's so easy to fall back into the routine that we're used to. And so I really thought that it would be effective to think about different ways that we could include this principle in, whether it's, just like different techniques to think yourself through, because part of it focuses on like mental and emotional health, or like different maybe habits you can get in as we talk about like physical health. So I just really enjoyed that. I also liked reading about the instructional balance, because I don't feel like the most confident teacher often, and I was intimidated to think about filling a whole workshop with kind of like my talking and my direction. And I really liked that it talked about how you really want the participants to participate. I mean, that's why they're called participants. But it's not necessarily equal time, because like once you start throwing that in, you're like, oh gosh, I don't want to be talking too long. And it's true, you don't, but you need to feel confident enough about sharing the information that you have to share, while also allowing the participants to share their bit. So I really liked the instructional balance bit that we read. Kind of tying back to the role playing that I talked about earlier, I liked the concept of overlearning. I just feel like so often when you're trying to make a change, like there is no practice that is good enough. Like you can, like it's really good to just hammer things in, because without a doubt, like you will fall back into old patterns. But like the more that you practice it, the more likely you are to make those actual changes that you're aiming for. I really enjoyed the sorry, the quote from the book that says, most learners learn from the errors they make, especially when they are shown how to recognize the error, how to recover from the error, and how to avoid the error in the future. So I just thought that that was something that would be really important to include as you do these role plays, is to help participants recognize like maybe where they're going wrong. So like maybe what in their pattern is that they're carrying out from day to day is going wrong, and then like a quick thing that they could do to recover, and then how to avoid it in the future. So I think that that's a good thing to consider as you're thinking about different role plays that you might do. I also enjoyed the thought that relationships are more important than technique. And there's, you know, that old adage, like, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. But I just really liked the suggestions that it gave, saying that it's good to notice the good about people, notice the strength and notice their strengths and competencies, and emphasize the good, reframe negatives in a more positive way. I thought that that was a really good and maybe more difficult one, at least for me. Like sometimes when people say things, like I just am more apt to agree, but I think that like framing it in a more positive light is helpful for both of you, and it lifts the other person up as well. But I think that that's one that I need to work on. So, and then emphasize what is done well. And I think that that's a really important one as well, because people like to feel like they're succeeding in some aspect, because we all are pretty aware of when we're failing or falling short. And there's also brought up like, thus far we haven't really, as Kimmery and I have been working out, like we haven't working out our lesson plans. We haven't like assigned homework or anything, or thought about assigning homework, but I thought that that might be something that would be effective in our class, so that we, like, people could work on making a change in their lives and like seeing it make a change. And so that last step of emphasizing what is done well, I think is really important, because like often, you know, these life changes aren't gonna come in 1 week, but just emphasizing like the steps, the small steps that they're making for the better. Lastly, I think I always forget to look at the time before I start these. I just really liked how it talked about planning for the presentation and planning how to direct the conversation. So it just it emphasized like the importance of planning your bit that you're going to present to people, because that's the part that they're listening to, and then also like how to direct the conversation, which I feel like is really like a game changer, because some people can really quickly lead the conversation elsewhere, and you just kind of feel like you're floundering and you don't know how to like turn it back to conversation or turn it back to the topics that you want to talk about. So I thought that was really good to be reminded that that's important to think about beforehand, so that you don't feel like you're in that conversation, or don't feel like you're in that situation. And then, you know, I guess really lastly, I really enjoyed all the thoughts on diversity. I don't really know how to sum them up, because I feel like there was so much, but I think that it was really good for me to think about the different audiences that I'd be presenting to, because I've kind of been like, oh, well, these people would be kind of like me, like they want a more balanced life, and these are like, they would be inspired to do these things. And just realizing that, like, yes, people might want to live a more balanced life, but they might be like drastically different than me, or live drastically different lives, or you know, just things that I might not even consider. Like there was that example about the Indians being asked to consider like the analogy with the apple, and like how it made them feel like a little awkward. And just thinking about how the situation, or the examples or things that you might bring up, need to be able to be applied to a wide audience, a wide specific audience, if that makes sense. Like you have like a target audience, but in the audience there's a great diversity. So just really considering that, and trying to make things that would be relatable to people from all different walks of life. Like I think that personally, probably most of the people that will attend for my workshop, even though I will be advertising it to a wide variety, will be probably like some closer friends and people in my own ward. And we're pretty homogenous, I'd say, but even in that homogeny, realizing that there's great diversity, and just being aware of that and trying to prepare for that, and then hopefully preparing for greater diversity. I mean, obviously, the goal is to try and reach a wide audience, but I just enjoy the thoughts on diversity. I've really enjoyed the reading. I feel like not only is it really applicable to just, preparing for this workshop, but just different situations that you might be in where you might be asked to present or to teach. It's been really useful information. So with that, I hope you're all having a great week, and I'm looking forward to seeing everyone else's videos, and hope everything is going well. Thanks.